Someone is making $10,000 a month drop shipping camel meat in just 15 hours a week. And they literally just figured out ads work. We found them on Empire Flippers, and the bar is so fucking low. All right, John, so I'm in bed. I'm scrolling Empire Flippers. I don't know if this is something you do while laying in bed, but I'm scrolling the dropshipping section as, you know, we're dropshipping guys, right? And so I like to scroll through there, see if I notice anything that stands out to me. And I stumbled across one that said culinary. So immediately I'm thinking dropshipping culinary, that's what, like kitchen appliances or something for the kitchen, right? Or maybe it's like exotic olive oil or something like that. No. This got weird as soon as I clicked into it. So I click into it, and the first sentence says they focus on high quality seafood, poultry, pork meat, and exotic meats, presenting unique offerings like camel, ostrich, and kangaroo. And immediately I was hooked. I was hooked immediately when I saw this listing. The graph also goes up, so you have this like traffic boner sticking there right above camel, ostrich, and kangaroo in text. I was hooked right away, John. This business is one of the weirdest businesses I think I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I don't even know where to begin, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I mean, I've been around dropshipping for as long as you have, 12 years or so. I think I've seen everything, right? You know, I mean, we've had thousands of students in our course, help lots of people find things to sell, products to sell, niches to sell in, and I got to tell you, I ain't never heard of somebody dropshipping meat before. Never. Let alone some of the things you just mentioned, like ostrich meat, and that sounds pretty wacky.
All right, so it's listed for $300,000, which already great, good for them, right? I think you and I both have sold businesses in this range before and higher, but $300,000 is a good spot to be. It's at a 28x multiple, so I think most people like tend to think yearly. Empire Flippers does the weird monthly thing, right? So what is that, like 2.33 x multiple if you're doing the year thing? But they're averaging $10,761 a month on $17,000 in revenue, which puts their net margins at 63%. So, all right, I'm intrigued because it's camel meat. Yeah. I'm intrigued because their traffic boners going up and their profit boners going up. And now they have 63% net margins. Have you ever seen this in the dropshipping world?
No. I've seen it with some lower ticket dropshipping stores, I think, for sure, at like low revenue numbers, but usually when they start to pump them a bit and try and scale them up, obviously that margin drops a bit because they're spending tons on ads and all that sort of thing. So, you know, like reliably and predictably at that profit net margin, no way. I mean, that'd be a rarity, I think, for dropshipping for sure.
Well, they've been around since 2022, so obviously this is a thing. I didn't want to deposit on this. I don't think that's fair for me to, like, you know, sign an NDA and talk about it. So I didn't deposit anything, but I did find other sites that look like this, right? And I was shocked by the depth of the industry. But like, honestly, I still can't figure this out. Maybe you can help me out, John. Who fucking eats camel? Like, have you ever had camel?
Look, I'm going to go a little deeper right here. I mean, camel, I've heard of eating camel before, right? Like, I've heard of this. But like, went to this other website which is selling similar stuff, Exotic Meat Market, right? Like, look at this list on here. I mean, I would throw the same thing back at you. Do people really eat fucking beavers, man? Beavers? Like, what is a bluefoot chicken? There's coyote meat. There's East African crowned crane. Like, this gets pretty deep, man. This is pretty fucking niche. And they're selling this stuff, and they're not selling it for cheap either. This is like some expensive meat, some of these things.
Did you know what an opossum is? It's like a giant rat.
Iguana meat? I mean, I guess, you know, I live in a part of the world where a lot of these things just don't exist. So I can imagine some of these things are more of a North or South American kind of thing. But
have you had bull testicles? That was something my dad would talk about a lot when I was a kid.
I haven't. I've never done the bush oysters, as we call them in Australia.
Okay, we call them Rocky Mountain oysters over here. But look, kangaroo is on this list, right? I was lucky enough to see them when I was over there for a few days visiting you. You told me they're literally like deer. They're everywhere. We eat deer around here. We hunt deer around here. Do people hunt kangaroo and eat kangaroo, or how does that work over there?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure, you can hunt kangaroo. People eat kangaroo. I mean, it's not everyone's taste. It's kind of like, you know, got that really gamey flavor. Kind of like, not quite like probably more than deer, I think, or more than venison, but similar sort of thing. Super lean, like it's got like very little fat in it. so you got to cook it right. But I mean, it's not bad. A lot of people like it for sure. Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand like who the customer is, right? So, I think there's a lot of businesses out there for people who have moved away from an area, right? If people who have moved out of New York but still miss the bagel. Or I think Chris Kerner from the TKO pod, he created something from Buc-ee's. I don't know if you know what Buc-ee's is, but he created all of their snacks online so people who weren't near one could order them. I assume this is the case too, right? You left Australia where people eat kangaroo meat and you want some kangaroo meat, or you left wherever they eat, opossums or camel or any of the other weird shit that we saw in there, and you want to get this. Is that how you're reading this too, or do you feel like there's more to this? Is there religion to this? Some of these meats are religious delicacies or just area delicacies. I am unbelievably ignorant here, and I just want to make sure I say that out loud.
All right. Well, look, a quick little bit of research here, Ben, specifically on the camel meat, because your mind was a bit blown by camel meat. So, definitely, it's people from the Middle East, North Africa, Asia. It says here Australia. I'm a little. We do have wild camels in Australia, and I'm a little dubious on that. I've never heard of anybody in Australia eating camel, but I'm not going to rule it out. But it also says here, calling one out to you. There's it's a food that's consumed by the Somali population in Minnesota.
Okay,
there you go. So even in
there is a giant population.
Yeah. So I mean, I would assume that certainly a lot of these things are consumed for special occasions. You know what I mean?
Look, they must be more popular, right? If I just share this window one more time here. So this is the exotic meat of the month club. You have a membership, you're paying $99 a month. I assume what they pick out of here is things everyone wants, right? And if you go through there, certainly I've eaten some of this. Elk meat, I can imagine an emu egg is actually pretty good. Wild turkey eggs sound pretty good. Camel's on here, right? Alligator, that's certainly something I've had in the South. Speaking of gamey, if you want something super fishy, that's alligator for you, right? But there's all sorts of guinea pigs, goat roast, rattlesnake, opossum, beaver meat, turtle meat, wild boar meat. Some of these totally make sense, and some of these are absolutely blowing my mind, John.
Look, I got to say, I did used to eat a bit of crocodile meat here in Australia.
Did you?
I don't know if it's I wouldn't say it's super fishy. It's a bit more sort of prawn or chickeny to me, but yeah, I used to eat a bit of crocodile here in Australia.
So a few things that stood out to me, right? They have 6,000 email subscribers buying, I assume, the exotic meat and some of the other stuff, right? That's 6,000 people who said, yes, email me about some of this weird stuff. They said they spend 15 hours each. They're making $10K a month. That's $333 an hour to work on this business. And again, greater than 60% margins drop shipping. That means someone's paying huge markups for this meat. So what stood out to me were a few things, John. Those things stood out to me. Two, I don't think I even knew you could drop ship this stuff. This opened my eyes to a whole new set of ideas that I'm not even sure I had. And you and I have been in this game for 12 years, right? You can see on your microphone, it says Dropship Breakthrough. We have a whole other business where we teach people how to start e-commerce stores at Dropship Breakthrough. We've been doing this a long time, specifically high ticket dropshipping. I have never seen this. I've never come across this. I've rarely, if ever, come across anything at 60% plus margins. Certainly I've seen 40s and 50s in some industries, but 60 is pretty unreal, especially if that's net margins at the end of the day. I think the other part that stood out to me, John, was the fact that they didn't know to turn on ads. And so they just recently flipped them on. And wouldn't you know it, and I'm just going to read this straight from the listing, with impressive net margins exceeding 60% without any paid advertising. When the new Google paid ad campaigns were launched, within just 3 days of implementation, the campaigns delivered a 6x increase in traffic and a 23% boost in sales, achieved with only a small investment. Shocking, right? You're talking to two guys who love running ads. And so the fact that they've been doing this well with no ads, just tested it with a small budget, and magically it worked just the way it's supposed to work if you set up good ads. All of this was super intriguing for me.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I've never thought of it before. Obviously, I think in recent years, we've probably both seen that there's been an increase in the meat sales online. There's a few big companies out there that are doing the meat boxes and the meat subscription boxes and that sort of thing. But it kind of makes sense, right? Every year, me and my family, we go and we stay on a farm, right? And there's it's an animal farm. They do dairy, but they also produce animals for meat. And I talked to the farmer, the dude that does this there, every time we go there, every year. And last time I was there, he was talking to me about, I'm looking for ways to get more of my meat out there directly to the public, rather than going through big meat processors where obviously, You probably get a shit price. You know, you have to deal with them, all of that sort of stuff. And he was like, I want to be able to sell more of our meat, which is really high quality meat, right? It's just traditional stuff. Like, this wasn't wacky meat. This is like beef, you know, your favorite lamb, that sort of stuff. I want to sell more directly to the consumer, or reach the consumer more. And so, you know, this is somebody who is looking to sell more of their stuff in a non-traditional way, but knows nothing about online marketing, knows nothing about websites, knows nothing about any of that stuff. So I 100% reckon if I went up to that guy and said, hey man, listen, I'll handle all the online stuff for you. I'm just going to send you orders and you ship it directly to the customer. Does that sound good? I reckon he would be like, fuck yeah, let's go and do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are so many farmers out there, you know, who are looking for ways to sell their produce and ideally get a better outcome than they might get going through some of the traditional avenues they have to move their product, that I reckon it wouldn't be hard to find suppliers of some of these type of products, let alone the more exotic stuff, which, you know, definitely would be super easy to find online, the buyers for that, I think.
And sticky.
So easy, right?
I assume they'd be sticky too. But look, let's clear the air. First off, lamb tastes like fucking poo. If you disagree with me, fight me. I don't care what you say. Lamb is disgusting. Two, to your point, I just bought some Wagyu online, Wagyu steaks, and now I can't stop seeing ads for these companies. So you should totally do this. Like, you should 100% just, you know, hey, next year I'm staying at your farm for free because I'm selling all of your meat, you know what I mean, and filling my freezer. The real question is, John, when I found this was still for sale. I actually was genuinely interested in this. I checked today as we were going to record. It says sold. So it is not possible to buy. But if it was, is this something you would buy?
Yep. If I were in the market, I think at that price as well, the asking price that was on it, I think it was $300K or something like that. I think that's a pretty decent price. If I'm not going to lie. I mean, there's a few things I would do a little bit more due diligence on, but definitely at that price, with those margins, knowing that they haven't done much paid traffic, knowing that there's probably a few other opportunities there, that there almost always is to grow dropshipping businesses, I wouldn't have a problem with that price. And like, it's right up my alley. Like that's I love a crazy idea. I gotta say, I love me a crazy idea. Like, I'm sitting here thinking, man, I'm going to sign up for one of these exotic meat subscription boxes.
I want to try this stuff, to be clear. But if you're the guy, if you bought this on Empire Flippers and you're hearing John and I talk about it, we want in. If you want some investors, let us know. I think now's the time for me to start selling camel meat. Most nights, my brain won't shut off. I'm lying there chasing new ideas, diving down rabbit holes, thinking through business problems, all of it. I can't turn it off, and honestly, I don't even want to. I fucking love this stuff. But I do need solid sleep if I'm going to show up as the best version of myself for my wife, for my kids, for my business partners, and for me. So every night, I take Kill Switch from Switch Supplements. I've been taking it for years. I take a scoop, I watch a quick YouTube video, and within a half an hour, I'm out. It works every single time. My wife takes it. My employee takes it. We even gave it out at a couple of our live events and everyone loved it. If you're the same way, you can't turn it off, but you still want to win big the next day, go to switchsupplements.com/lowbar and use the code lowbar to get $10 off your first order. That's switchsupplements.com/lowbar and use the code lowbar. Sleep like you're dead.
Hey, John here for just a sec. You know how we're always breaking down these wild business ideas and road testing opportunities that other podcasts won't touch? Well, we're growing our own business here. This podcast, and we need your help. So here's the deal. If the Low Bar podcast has given you that holy shit I can actually do this moment, or just made your commute less boring, help us out. If you're watching on YouTube, go and hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify, go to our profile page on Spotify and smash that 5-star button. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, hit the review button and leave us a review. It takes you just 30 seconds, costs you nothing, but helps us reach more people who think starting a business is rocket science, which it's not. And it will also give us the momentum we need to do even more fun and crazy business stuff right here for your entertainment. We love to keep it real with you. Now keep it real with us. Let's grow this thing together. All right, so I was doing something similar the other day, except I was over on Flipper, which is, if you haven't heard of Flipper, it's like a online marketplace, kind of brokerage. I don't know. They have brokerage services, but it's kind of like they cover more of the absolute bottom of the selling online websites and online businesses, right up to the biggest stores, unlike Empire Flippers, which, they kind of have a minimum that you've got to be at to get listed on there. Flipper, you can kind of list, I wouldn't say anything, but almost anything. And so they have a lot of stuff. They have e-commerce businesses, apps, all sorts of stuff. And I like going on there because you can really find some off-the-wall ideas there. And so anyway, I was going through there, scrolling through there, and I got stuck on this one. It just jumped off the page at me. And it was a 76% net margin, print-on-demand candles, right? You can run from home. It'd been running for 11 years, and I saw that in the headline, and I was kind of just like, okay, so like candles. 76% net margin. And I just love it because it's running less than 10 hours per week from home. They make the products on demand, and most of their customers are B2B. And so I was like automatically intrigued. Like, one, candles, like as far as I love simple products, man. Simple products are so great to sell, and you literally can't get any more fucking simple than a candle, right? Like, people have been using candles for literally, I don't know, probably thousands of years. I don't know when the first candle was made, but like, we've been using these things forever. And there are still people making money online selling candles. But like, the B2B element of this one really intrigued me, because I was like, generally, when you think about people selling candles, you think about like if your particular persona, bit of a hippie, selling candles on Etsy or something like that, right? Or at the local market, selling them retail to customers who are using them in their home. And I was like, wow, is there really a market for B2B candles? Now, of course there is, and these guys are doing it. And so I went in, dug in there a little bit deeper, and I was kind of like, how are they doing the B2B sales? How does that work? And so they're actually making most of their sales through a network of 2,000 B2B business people. So they're obviously hooked up with some distribution network, sales distribution network. They're not running ads or doing anything like that, it seems. And yet, they're doing 4,636 average monthly net profit. So like I said, a 76% profit margin. The business is listed for 75K, which includes 6,000 of already made stock, so candle stock. 1.3 times profit multiple. So that puts their average monthly revenue about $6,100. And 80% of that is B2B. And I thought B2B generally means you got a lot of repeat business. You know your customers. You don't have to generate tons of new customers every month. And this really stood out for me as like a business where I thought, on this podcast we say business is simple. And like, this is like the perfect kind of representation of that. Like, this could be, you could run this from home. You could run this as a side hustle. If you were a stay-at-home parent, you don't need a warehouse for this one. You don't need an office, anything like that. Even though it makes its own products, they're all made on demand. They're all print on demand. And once again, I didn't do the due diligence thing on this one and sign up for the NDA, but I went and found a business that does something similar. So there's a business called Candle Bliss, which is at candlebliss.com. And so you can kind of get an idea of what I think this one's doing. If you go on to there, you can see they do print-on-demand candles, right? And so that's basically where, like, if you're a business, you can come along and say, I want to put my brand on the candles. Right. And then they're going to, here they have a range of different options, different size candles and that sort of thing. Even though they're super basic, I've got to believe there's tons more you can do here. And then so every time a business comes along and say they're like, I want 500 candles with our branding on them, they just make them to order at that point. So these guys aren't sitting on a massive warehouse full of candles that they have to pay for in advance and that sort of thing. They're just making each order when it comes along. And because they're doing B2B, a lot of those orders are going to be bulk, right? So a business isn't coming along and ordering one candle. And so to me, this just jumped out at me as like a really smart way to go about selling lower ticket products. Like a candle, it's like, you look at that Candle Bliss site, they're like $6 each kind of thing, or prices starting at $6 each. So, if you're trying to sell those just retail, that's a pretty tough proposition, right? To scale that up with marketing and all of that sort of thing. But if you're getting customers who are ordering large volumes of them at once, and you only have to make them once you've got the order, to me, that's a really smart business.
I think I have more questions than answers on this, right? The moment you said print on demand candles, I'm sitting here like, how does that work? So I love that you found this website, Candle Bliss. I do wonder whether, and I'm trying to read the description on this Flippa listing, is like, are they actually making these in the garage? Because it kind of sounds like they're making them, but it also kind of sounds like they're not making them in the listing. And so if they're making them, I assume, I'm looking at that 4-ounce jar that I just showed on the screen, right? It's $6.50. I assume that jar and the stuff that goes in it in the wick is $1, right? Maybe like wholesale, probably even less, right? But by the time you get all that stuff. So if you're actually making it in your garage, well, then this, I can see where those margins come from, right? If you're getting it made at $6.50, how much are you realistically selling it to a business for? That's kind of where my questions lie. But look, I love being a business owner because you put your expenses on a credit card and you can fly first class everywhere. And being in first class, you end up meeting some very interesting people. One of the people I sat next to was kind of doing this, but they were doing it with cookies. And so they made cookies, but all of their orders, they didn't sell anything direct to consumer. They didn't sell anything in a store. They only made these containers of cookies, and then they would sell them to Bank of America, or they would sell them to Wells Fargo or any other big company. They would slap their name on there, and that would be their Christmas gift every year. Bank of America would give this as their gift, or one of their many gifts that they give to their employees. And they would end up buying, thousands of these, right? And so I can imagine that there's going to be these massive, massive orders that make up the bulk of what those sales are in that thing. I'd be curious to know what that looks like, right? What is the 2,000 B2B reps look like? Is that an MLM thing? Is this an MLM thing? Is this something different than that? I feel like I left with more questions than answers, but I'm definitely intrigued.
For sure. And I think there's it raised a bunch of questions for me. As soon as I walked out of that, as soon as I read it, and I was like, selling this sort of consumable stuff, that's branded to businesses, makes a ton of sense. Rather than selling it only retail. And so I just started thinking about, wow, what are all the other things that I could probably sell to businesses, in the same way that they use, that are kind of consumable, that you could produce really cheaply, that you could brand up for them in a nice way. The great thing about business, as I said, is once you've got a customer, you just get repeat order, without having to spend a ton on marketing, which is what these guys are doing. It's 76% net margin, they're not really spending much on marketing to get there. There's just no way they are, because ads just aren't that cheap. And so they've got recurring business that's happening. And I mean, look, this isn't a massive business or anything, but you could totally run this as a side hustle. Like I say, if you needed an extra $4,500 a month, or you're interested in generating extra $4,500 a month, that's without doing any work to grow it, I must say. And I got some pretty interesting ideas about how you could grow this one. But 10 hours a week, like I said, I mean, you could do that on the side of your job. You could do that on the side of parenting your kids, if you're a stay-at-home parent or something like that. And I think this is just a great example of how something that is so simple can make, a good income.
Well, they mentioned trade shows in their listing, right? A way to grow it would be, increasing your direct-to-consumer and industry shows and email marketing. That all sounds like boilerplate things that you would say when you are listing a website and saying, how would you grow this, John? What would you do to grow this?
Well, I mean, if I picked it up tomorrow, I would certainly be looking at what's the existing sales process and can I pump that harder? That's the obvious thing the obvious first thing to do. And so I do think things like trade shows, if the product is unique and the print on demand element is something that's not really getting put out there at trade shows at the moment, I think that would definitely be great. Like I say, I would try and generate more of that B2B business here. The candle market in the US is worth over $3 billion a year.
What?
Yeah. There is a candle makers association in America, unsurprisingly, where they publish candle sales, right? I actually looked this up when I was looking into candles. I was like, how big is this market really? And yeah, it's over $3 billion annually just in the US. And so there's a lot of people buying candles, right? Businesses / people, whatever, buying candles. And so that's a massive number. There is something like just over 1,000 registered candle making businesses in the US. So that means on average, those businesses are making something like $1.7 million a year selling candles. That's on average. Obviously, there's going to be some big ones and some really small ones, but on average, that's where it's at. So there's definitely ways that you could get a chunk of that market. That's a big market for something that relatively is so cheap. And so I'd stick with what they're already doing. right? So if the B2B thing's working, I would be looking at immediately, how can I grow that a bit more? But then I would also be looking into, like, how can I make something unique here? I really think candles are a cool thing that you can make in pretty much any smell, shape, size, whatever it might be. And so there's a big opportunity here, depending on the production method they have and how these products are actually made. I love the thought of producing niche candles. And look, I looked this up a little bit, and the best ones I came to were Dick candles. Not gonna lie.
Is that what this link is? You want me to click this?
Yeah. So, right. I mean, there's actually a few businesses selling these. I found one on, agreeableagony.com, which, what a URL. We've got here the Flaming Hot Dicks. Right? So, yep, you guessed it. It's a candle in the shape of a dick. If you're not, it's on the screen. If you're not watching the screen, selling for, well, I'm looking at Australian price here, 43 Australian dollars, and people are buying these.
All right, John. First question: did you look this up to look up candles, or were you already on this site?
Not gonna lie,
there's a lot of interesting products on this.
I've seen dick candles before. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, I have bought a dick in a box before, considering sending it, to someone who was my enemy, and it was like a chocolate dick. It showed up. It was very interesting. And the other one was candy. So I think these molds are going around. But this website's very interesting.
I'm not saying that you would necessarily do that specifically, but if you think about, I would go out and find either what businesses am I selling candles to? Like, what do they actually do? Like, presumably there's like day spas and all of that sort of relaxation related businesses, I would assume. But like, are there others? And then can I make cool candles that fit in with that niche? Or could I make cool candles that fit in with another niche that somebody's not already serving, but kind of has the customer in it that likes candles? Like, tons of people use candles at home. There's a business here in Australia called Dusk, which is like one of those retail stores that's, in every shopping mall and all of that sort of thing. They do 140 something million a year in sales, primarily of candles, in Australia, which is a small population country, right? 143 million a year, right? So there's a lot of people out there who are buying candles. And like everything, there are people that have niche interests. And so I just know, using the Flaming Hot Dicks example, there are going to be some interests out there that you could produce niche candles around, and those people are going to buy them for sure.
I would worry about the smells. Like, how do you get the smells down, right? Like, certainly in my lifetime, I've seen some pretty stinky candles show up in my house, right, that I wouldn't have chosen. At the same time, I went and visited our friend Bill to do some consulting in Phoenix, and it smelled. There was a smell in Phoenix, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And Bill's like, "Oh, when it rains here, this cactus gives off the smell. I actually bought you a candle so you could bring this home." And we light that candle often in our living room because it smells good, right? And so I guarantee there's going to be smells that are, great for some people and not good for other people. And so, like, how do you narrow in on the smells? How do you find the more neutral smells so that, again, wellness places or businesses want to buy those? But you're right, like, candles are never going out of style. There's a candle shop in every little downtown district for a reason. One, probably because the margins are through the roof, but two, they're just going to keep moving. And so do you think you could get some press doing some weird shit, like maybe not the dicks, but maybe something more like a spicy smell or something way off the wall could also get you some PR or some press if that works for you. But you could also go the very conservative route and just make nice smelling candles and continue serving that B2B industry and find people who want to move those for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you could take this one, like, you could keep it doing what it's doing. You could grow that, I reckon, for sure. It seems like they're doing very little marketing from the way the business is described. And so there's going to be all sorts of opportunities there. And you could do that while introducing some more off-the-wall stuff, I think. More fun stuff, if you're that kind of person. And I reckon that stuff would go wild.
You got a line in here you didn't say, so I'm going to steal it. You said, or do the above in a subscription box or standalone sex-related products off an OnlyFans account. I think that might be your best idea in this entire document, and I'm not sure you said it, John. So if you didn't say it, I'm putting it out there.
Well, yeah, look, I mean, I got this, I used to get this subscription box, so I love stickers, right? And I stick stickers on all sorts of shit here. Like if you see my fridge here in my office, it's got these crazy stickers all over it, right? And there's this business in the US. I actually used to get them shipped from the US to here. They have a sticker subscription box. So every month they send you this wild designed art box with like these stickers in it, which are designs from artists, right? So they're really cool stickers, right? They get like 10 or 15 or something like that. Doesn't cost much. It's like $20 a month or something like that. So I thought that was in my head, and I thought, wow, if you're a candle person, right? You're somebody who just loves burning candles at home or whatever, just for the scent or for the ambiance or whatever it is, right? It would be cool to get, I think, to get a subscription box, and every month you have different candles in it, different shapes, unique smells, weird stuff, funny stuff, arty kind of shapes, like whatever. I don't know what the production costs are around molds or whatever for candles. I'm a bit of an idiot when it comes to that, but like it's got to be something you could do for sure. And that sticker subscription box was going wild when I was a part of it. It was really popular, and so I reckon there's something there as well. That would be one of my off the wall ideas for this one for sure.
I think if you could just match the seasons, right? So I have an olive oil subscription box. I have olive oil in my salad every day. It's from freshpressoliveoil.com. Fantastic. And he goes around the world and gets the freshest olive oil, right? And it has to be pressed a certain way and grown a certain way. There's boxes for everything, right? And so this could simply be following the seasons, right? It's fall here. The leaves are starting to turn colors. There's a very distinct smell in the air, right? Could you capture that in the fall? Could you capture that Arizona cactus smell from whenever it rains in Arizona? Forgive me, I don't know when that is. There's a distinct smell in spring here when the snow melts. There's definitely a distinct smell in the summer, like fresh cut grass is certainly a smell. I bet you could find something for every month, and that's your whole thing every year, right? And people are going to look forward to when October comes and it smells like fall. Something is going to be in the air, right? And I think that would be very easy to, you literally only need to come up with 12 cents here, right? Maybe you mix in one or two, but you're just repeating this year round. And people are going to look forward to when October returns or when November returns. And so I got to ask John, would you buy this? Like that price is very tempting to buy this. In fact, I went out before the show and I said, hey, Fry is our employee. He works out of my warehouse here. And I said, how do you feel about pouring candles 10 hours a week? Cause like, I think I'm into this business when I read through the notes. Would you buy it? Like, is this something you would do?
I don't know that I would do it. Like, I don't know that I would do it. Like, I got the space here. I could do it for sure, right? In our little warehouse here. No doubt. Like, I could do it. Like, right now, would I have the time to do it sitting here by myself? No. I mean, I don't need to, right? Either. But if I was the right person, like I said, if I was like a stay-at-home parent and I had the space at home to do it, or if I was somebody who had a job and I just wanted to start building some revenue or some extra income alongside my existing job and I didn't want to quit straight away, like 10 hours a week these people are doing currently, right? Like you could do that like a couple of hours a night or in the morning or split it or whatever, or some time on the weekend. Like that time per week in exchange for like, $4.5 or whatever, $5,000 a month in your pocket. If I was that person, I would definitely be thinking about this for sure.
All right. So it says it makes $4,636 a month in profit. It's 10 hours a week. You could pay somebody $30 an hour to work those 10 hours for you, right? So now you're looking at $1,200 a month. That breaks down to $3,436 left over for you. Divided into their $75,000 asking price, you're going to get your money back in 22 months. That seems like a no-brainer. And you're going to likely, spend your little bit of time making sure that you grow the business, right? And so that number goes down. So in your shoes, I know you got a kid who's, fresh out of high school looking for work to do. He does a little work for us. This might be the thing for him to do, buddy. Is he into candles?
Look, that's a fair point. I mean, I'm in Australia, so I can't buy it anyway. But now that you say that, I do want to get his ass doing something. So.
Yeah. This isn't a bad idea. I think I would buy this one, mostly because, look, it's all relative, right? 75K is something I could swing and not feel bad about it. Like it's not going to go to zero, right? And so I'm going to get my 75 back. It might take a little bit of time. I'm not doing the work though. 100%. I'm not doing this work. And so whether this is, look, I got two 10-year-olds at home who really want Steam Decks. This sounds like a great way for them to earn some Steam Decks. I can picture a way to get this done. That's not my time. And I have the warehouse space or the house space if we want to go that route. And so this was actually intriguing. I wouldn't be shocked if by the time this comes out in a few weeks that this listing is mysteriously sold to a guy in Wisconsin.
So you heard it here. Both Ben and I would buy this business. Business is simple. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just sell fucking candles.